All right, so let's start with the big story that we're tracking on WION this morning. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will be holding a virtual summit. The opening of the Haldibari-Chilahati rail network will, of course, be one of the major priorities of this meeting. The rail network connects Bangladesh to the Indian states of West Bengal and Assam. 5 out of the 6 rail links were laid before 1965. Will now again become operational so that there will be free movement of people between India and Bangladesh. The Haldibari-Chilahati rail link was part of the broad gauge main route from Kolkata to Siliguri. Both sides are in fact working on Agartala and Akhara rail link, which is likely to become operational by next year. A transport air bubble was also opened amidst the pandemic to facilitate the movement of travellers, of Indians to Bangladesh and Bangladeshis to India on both sides, especially the frontline workers. The Bangladesh is, of course, celebrating the birth of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who led the country's freedom movement against Pakistan. And the both Prime Ministers will also be inaugurating the commemorative stamp in honour of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Both sides will also be opening a Bangla Bandhu Bapu digital exhibition, and this will be displayed in New Delhi, followed by Bangladesh, the United Nations, and also in Kolkata in early 2022. Now, this, of course, will have a 360-degree view of some of the most historic locations and also a robotic signature of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and also of Mahatma Gandhi. And to give us more insights in terms of how significant this virtual summit between the two leaders is likely to be, we're joined in by WION Siddhant Sibil, who's joining us live on this broadcast on WION. Siddhant, let me begin by asking you this. This, of course, is going to be in many ways a historic virtual summit between the two leaders. Since 1965, the railway lines between the two nations had been disrupted, and these, it is expected, will be resumed soon.
Well, yes, Mohammed, in about 1 hour's time, the virtual summit will start, and this virtual summit will primarily focus on connectivity with the opening of the rail link. But largely, if we look at the broader contours of this relationship, connectivity is something that has been being focused by both Dhaka and New Delhi, whether it's rail connectivity, whether it is through road connectivity, the bus services, whether it is through air transport, which of course amidst the pandemic was impacted, or whether it is through the inland waterways, because that is something that is also on agenda. In fact, 2 routes were open earlier this year. But largely, if we look at this relationship has seen cooperation in almost every sector which is possible, including the COVID pandemic. In fact, the Indian Foreign Secretary had visited Bangladesh, which was his first visit amidst the pandemic, and the focus was on cooperation, especially on the COVID vaccine, because India has assured Bangladesh that whenever India comes up with the vaccine, Bangladesh will get the high priority. But by and large, the current relationship is being called as the Sonali Adhyay, the golden age of this relationship, with the high-level engagements. In fact, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was to visit Bangladesh earlier this year in the month of March to take part in the 100th birth anniversary celebration of the father of the nation of Bangladesh, but could not do so because of the COVID pandemic. This, of course, will be another key focus area of the virtual summit that will happen with the inauguration of
Absolutely.
the museum and, of course, the commemorative stamp. But largely, we know that the Indian Prime Minister will go to Bangladesh next year to take part in the 50th anniversary of the Liberation War and, of course, the 50th independence year of Bangladesh.
Absolutely, indeed. Now, this, of course, is a very crucial summit. Like you pointed out, there are a whole host of different issues that are being looked at. Connectivity, of course, is one of the crucial aspects that is there on the agenda in this virtual summit. But Siddhant, on the larger issue, over the course of the last several months, it was being said that it was perhaps China that was trying to make inroads into Bangladesh, and many people had suggested that maybe, perhaps, China was trying to make more and more inroads through its policy of checkbooks that it carries out. But what we are now looking is that the India-Bangladesh ties appear to be stronger than ever before.
Well, yes, of course, China has been trying to increase its inroads in South Asia, whether it's Nepal, whether it's Sri Lanka, whether, of course, it's Pakistan. But with Bangladesh, it's a different story because the Bangladesh have been very intelligent in terms of not falling into the Chinese trap and, of course, have been engaging with China, but not in a sense that we have seen in Kathmandu or perhaps in Colombo. So largely, if we look at this relationship, Bangladesh has increased, in fact, its engagement with New Delhi. But of course, with New Delhi, it has a long border. It has several common issues. There are, of course, certain contentious issues as well. But largely, it's a celebration of relationship with the close partnership between the leaders of the two countries, a close personal camaraderie between the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. In fact, both had conversation early, in the start of this year, at the New Year. Last year, we know that at the oath-taking ceremony of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Bangladeshi President had come to India, and then, of course, both the Indian Prime Minister and the Bangladeshi Prime Minister had met in New York and taken part in the 150th birth anniversary celebration of the Father of the Nation of India. So largely it is a relationship which is multidimensional, and Dhaka does understand the importance of New Delhi when it comes to the regional sphere, and of course particularly on the connectivity issue, and being of course the immediate neighbor of Bangladesh.
Absolutely indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant Sibil, for joining us and getting us all those updates. A very important summit, a virtual summit between the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also the Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina there, in which the railway links, which had been defunct since 1965, will be resumed again for the free movement of people, it is hoped.